I am pretty excited for this one. I know I was really excited for the 3DS too, but like with the 3DS it's more like, ooh, 3D, and it's pretty neat. But with this, like the technology I think is really amazing.
It's like as powerful as a PS3, and then it's got like 3G and touchscreens and gyroscopes.
That thing looks cool.
First thing I saw was just an image of the hardware, and I'm thinking, you know, that looks an awful lot like the PSP, but you know, obviously on closer inspection it has the second analog stick, looks like it has a better D-pad, better buttons.
What, touchscreens, dual analog sticks, cameras, Wi-Fi 3, like what didn't they put in there?
Oh wow, this is gonna be expensive.
It's kind of an everything gadget, and I like anything that has buttons and lights and plays games and stuff like that.
Obviously, we've kind of seen this before. Sony comes out with this really powerful piece of hardware that seems to blow the Nintendos out of the water. In this case, this is a really, really impressive piece of hardware with a 5-inch OLED screen, this really powerful ARM processor, really powerful graphics chip.
Well, it kind of feels like we're seeing the same design decisions Nintendo and Sony made coming into our current generation of consoles repeated in their next generation of handhelds. You know, Sony was like, yes, we're going for 1080p, we're gonna make this the muscle machine with all these features, and Nintendo's like, we're doing something different, check it out, you can wiggle your hands around. So the 3D is sort of Nintendo's niche this time around, whereas you know, the NGP is really going for it in terms of all those features, little gadgets and capabilities everyone's talking about.
I mean, you have, you know, the touch screen on the front, you have the touch pad on the back, and I'm actually sort of interested to see what developers end up doing with that, because you almost have kind of conflicting sort of modes of thought going on here. You have sort of these newfangled control devices in the form of touch controls, and then you have sort of the really traditional controls in the front with the dual analog sticks. So,
you know, I'm sure there will be bite-sized kind of games, but obviously the press conference of what they announced was clearly designed for, hey, this is a game that you could play on console, it just happens to be on a handheld.
Some big names, there's going to be a Call of Duty game for it for sure, you know, maybe Metal Gear Solid, you know, they've got Dynasty Warriors, which is, I like Dynasty Warriors.
I like my simple games, I like my old school ports of like Super Nintendo RPGs and stuff, but to be able to play Uncharted in my hands while I'm on the bus, that sounds really cool.
I mean, I think that the rear touchscreen is something that it could end up being really cool. I liked watching the demo for that game, Little Deviants. It seemed to showcase some interesting possibilities for this rear touchscreen, but you know, we don't know yet. It could end up being the sort of thing that just ends up being shoehorned into a lot of games as a gimmick, but doesn't really add anything to the experience.
I mean, I don't see any of this as being, you know, a game changer in terms of how we play games. The NGP, in other words, I don't see how that's going to, you know, change how we play games in the way that the DS might have, or the Wii did. But on the other hand, if they can get that action in a certain way, I'm curious to see what kind of interesting ways, you know, we can use that back pad along with the dual analog sticks to maybe create something that's unique that you wouldn't see somewhere else.
So I like these small-scale experiences on my portable, and it seems like the NGP is gearing towards these console experiences, which I don't really want. I want something that's more pick up and play and a lot simpler.
this kind of also means to me that there's possibilities that we'll see, you know, two varying schools of thought in terms of what we get for NGP games. We'll get stuff that, you know, will be essentially a console game on a handheld, which, you know, isn't necessarily a bad thing depending on who you talk to. And then we'll get stuff that's more suited for the handheld specifically and what it can do. So you'll get sort of a mixture of sort of the traditional control schemes, and you'll also get sort of new thoughts and ideas that are generated by the use of the touch controls, which is great.
It's definitely got the technology. You know, it's just a question of after the initial wave of support, what will we see? I mean, you've got these big marquee names on here like Epic, Capcom, you know, Activision. I mean, it's got some, you know, really promising stuff happening. It's just a question of whether or not that, you know, that initial support is going to continue through.